The door. The house stood at the edge of the old neighborhood, its whitewashed walls glowing faintly in the fading evening light. Clara had walked past it many times before moving in, intrigued by its simplicity and the towering oak tree that shaded the front yard. But what truly caught her attention each time was the massive, weathered door, a deep, dark brown slab of wood with an iron handle that seemed almost medieval. It looked as though it belonged to another time, another world. When Clara moved in, she quickly realized the door was more than just a boundary between the outside world and the house. It creaked when opened, groaned when shut, and seemed to shiver under her touch. She told herself it was just old, a relic of a bygone era, but the way it stood there, silent and imposing, unsettled her. The house came with a caretaker. Her name was Ilona, an elderly woman with a rigid frame, piercing gray eyes, and hands as knotted as the roots of the oak tree outside. Ilona had lived in the neighborhood all her life, tending to this house for decades. She arrived every morning at sunrise, her large bag in hand, filled with supplies and tools Clara didn't recognize. "Don't worry about the door," Ilona said on Clara's second day, her voice clipped but not unkind. "It's just a door. Nothing more." Clara had nodded, unsure why Ilona felt the need to address it. But the unease remained. As weeks passed, Clara noticed the peculiarities. Ilona never used the door to enter or leave the house. She always came in through the back garden, her footsteps soft and deliberate. And then there were the times Clara would wake at night, sensing a presence near the door. She would find Ilona sitting silently in a chair across from it, staring as though waiting for it to move or speak. One morning, Clara confronted her. "Why do you sit by the door at night?" Ilona hesitated, her fingers tightening around the cloth she was folding. "Because it's my job. To keep it closed. Keep it closed. From what? From what wants to come through." Clara laughed nervously, expecting Ilona to join in, to tell her it was a joke. But the older woman remained grave, her gaze steady. "This house is old. Older than you know. That door, it connects to things we don't understand. You must never open it, Clara." For weeks, Clara obeyed. She avoided the door, even hung a heavy curtain over it to block it from sight. But its presence lingered, like an unspoken argument in a quiet room. One stormy night, Clara woke to the sound of a loud thud. She rushed to the hallway and saw the curtain swaying. The door was slightly ajar, the darkness beyond it yawning wide. Ilona was there, her face pale and gaunt. "Get back," she hissed, grabbing Clara by the arm. "But, get back." Ilona's voice cracked like a whip, and Clara stumbled away. The older woman approached the door and, with a strength that belied her years, pushed it shut. She locked it with a rusted key that hung around her neck, muttering words in a language Clara didn't understand. When it was over, Ilona turned to Clara, her face lined with exhaustion. "I told you. Never open it. What's behind it?" Clara whispered. Ilona shook her head. "Memories. Regrets. Sorrows. Everything we bury and pretend is gone. It waits there, hoping to be invited in." Clara wanted to argue, to tell Ilona she was imagining things. But deep down, she knew the older woman was right. She had felt it too, that heaviness, that pull. From that night on, Clara never touched the door again. Ilona stayed until her last days, tending to the house and guarding the door with unwavering devotion. When she passed, Clara locked the house and left it behind. But sometimes, late at night, she would dream of the door, its heavy iron handle, the groan of its hinges, and the endless, unspoken weight of what lay beyond.